Again, good afternoon, everybody. For this afternoon, I would like to present a taxon that most of you probably hindi nyo masyadong pinapansin sa inyong courses. Most of you are forestry students here, and when you say forestry students, most probably hardwood trees ang inyong kaharap most of the time, okay? But when you talk about forest ecosystems, kasama dito yung mga all forms of autotrophic organisms, as well as yung mga animals natin. For the plants, we have the parts of the understory, we have epiphytic species, and we also have your non-vascular plants. For this afternoon, I would like to tackle a portion of the group of plants known as the Bryophytes. And for this, I entitled my presentation, Bridging the Gaps of Bryophyte Diversity Studies on Ultramafic Landscapes in the Philippines. It is quite a mouthful, I know, and I am not going to answer it all just now kasi pang preliminary pa lang siya ng aking magiging future study. Okay? And this is what I would like to answer after I am done with my PhD. Okay? A short outline, I would like to define some stuff, what is ultramafic, ophiolites, look into, backtrack some of the ecological studies on ultramafic landscapes, and zero in on Bryophyte studies on ultramafic landscapes. First and foremost, let us first define what is ultramafic. Okay? Ultramafic soil, I know when we do vegetation studies, you take into consideration, is it primary forest, is it secondary forest, is it from yung larger islands or small island biodiversity, but rarely do we look into ano ba yung rock natin na tinitingnan. Okay? Some of us would look into, ay, nasa karst forest tayo, or kaya nasa volcanic areas, but konti pa lamang, very few are studying ultramafic soil. So what is ultramafic soil? Pag sinabi natin, when we say ultramafic soil, it would pertain to weathered products of rocks that are predominantly made up of iron and magnesium silicates. Okay? So ferrous magnesium silicates, and this is ang characteristic ng rocks na ito. They are usually deficient in phosphorus and potassium, and they have, of course, they have very low silica content, and they have elevated amounts of some phytotoxic elements such as nickel, cobalt, and manganese. So you'll notice in ultramafic forest, medyo restricted or limited ang growth ng ating forest ecosystem. Okay? How are what would ultramafic rocks look like? So marami siyang iron at magnesia. So it is very dark in color. Okay? So the name, so ito may mga magnesia. Sorry. Okay, so meron siyang manganese. Ito ay metamorphic serpentinite na siya. Igneous rock so mostly ultramafic. The original rock is igneous. Okay? We have peridotites like this which are speckled with the ferrous manganese dun sa rocks natin. Okay? Ultramafic soil is actually from ophiolites. Okay, so ano naman ang ophiolites? Ophio meaning snake-like rocks. Yun yung pinaka-root ng ophiolitic. Kasi, again, we go back to the general itsura ng rocks natin, parang siyang scaly kasi green and scaly yung itsura niya. So the general term is ophiolitic rocks. And ophiolites would be the ones that would bring about the formation of ultramafic soil. Okay? So where are the ultramafic outcrops of South and Southeast Asia? Prior to that. Wait lang ha. Okay, for South and Southeast Asia, notice that the Philippines is riddled with ultramafic outcrops. Okay? Some of them are under yung karst ecosystems natin. So, you'll notice your Zambales area here, karst, ibig sabihin limestone siya originally, but underneath it is ophiolitic rock. Okay? Even if you go to Palawan, which is the underground river system. Yung taas nun is karst ecosystem. Okay? Tapos solutional yung gate niya, but a large part dun sa middle of yung Palau area is ophiolitic. Okay? It means that the mantle, remember sabi natin, low in silica content, tapos high in the other material. When the rock actually forms, yung first na nag-form yung ating crustal area, nahigop lahat nung maraming portion of the silicates would actually be formed first to form the crust. So what is left behind dun sa molten magma natin would be a low silica content material that would later form into your ophiolites. Okay? So, sa Pilipinas, ito yung mga areas that are ophiolitic ultramafic. So this one is my rendition of it kasi medyo malikit yung map kanina. Just to give you a better idea, these are areas that have ultramafic areas. I also got this from the paper presented by Dr. Yumul of the National Institute of Geosciences. This one would show a Simplified Geology of the Philippines. It's actually from a mining company. And they have mapped where ultramafic rocks are found in the Philippines. So a large area is here in the Zambales region. You have here in Palawan. Middle portion of Mindoro, meron sa may bandang Halcon. Then you have Sibuyan, the small island here of Sibuyan, ultramafic. And in the Mindanao region here, you have the Surigao and Dinagat Islands will be ultramafic. Right? Mining companies would usually utilize these ultramafic maps so they can pinpoint where are they going to extract materials. Right? Because prime need natin for these minerals like chromium and nickel, copper, gold, iron, and notice that maliit lang o mababa yung silica content, which means iron would be high, chromium would be high, nickel would also be high. Because these are the materials that would be left behind after the formation of your crust to form the mantle. Okay? So ophiolites, I think I missed out. So ophiolites, as I mentioned earlier, these are the main rock where your ultramafic soil would arise from. It is a section of the Earth's oceanic crust and underlying upper mantle that has been uplifted. So by geologic activity, tectonic activities through the history of the formation of the Philippines, na-uplift yung oceanic crust natin and part of the mantle to expose it above water, and later on, ano siya ng corals, and later on become land, tapos mako-colonize sila. But through time, mawi-weather din yung part na yun. So, ma-expose yung ophiolites natin. Exposed above sea level and often in place into continental crustal rocks. So, this one is a recent study presented by Dr. Yumul and Dr. Manalo, both from the National Institute of Geological Sciences of UP Diliman, showing that ang history ng Philippines, yung ilalim ng ating land is actually made up of 4 zones of ophiolite or ophiolitic complexes. We have here, this one is yung Belt 1 ophiolite complex natin or ophiolite zones natin. This one is Belt 2. This one is Belt 3. And Belt 4 would be the Palawan microcontinent here. Okay? So itong portion na to would make up yung Belt 4 natin. What does it mean? Okay? Alam natin from our basic geology that the different islands of the Philippines, tectonically, iba-iba talaga yung pinanggalingan nila. But the mantle underneath it, parang na-date nila, and relatively same yung ages ng ophiolite along the different belts here. So this one ay isang malapit yung kanilang age, which is relatively different from this, and this one, and this one. It is also the means by which geologists are trying to figure out if the group of islands of Mindoro, Panay, and some parts of Sibuyan are actually part of that of the Palawan microcontinent, because they are not looking at the ages of the colonization of organisms, but the ages of the rocks underneath it. So if they are able to verify that these rocks are indeed part or of the same ages of this, mas malaki ang chance that this group of islands would make up a part of the continental block, which means from now until several decades from now, this one, remember that this portion is actually banging or moving towards this direction. So, ibig sabihin, ang ano natin is, ano ba ang nagmumove? Palawan ba? Papunta sa babangga sa Mindoro? Or itong buong ito ang babangga dun sa mainland island ng Luzon natin? Okay? So, a little bit of geology for us. So, we look at some ecological studies. Okay? The paper by Gali, which is presented just early this year, 2017, stated that studies in ultramafic landscapes for South and Southeast Asia is actually limited. Nakita natin yung maraming dots dun sa map natin kanina, but if you look at the amount of study that has been done to it, with all of the taxon, handful lamang sila. Okay? So there is limited studies, mostly focusing on physiological, ecological studies like herbivory of organisms dun sa mga plants in ultramafic landscapes. Okay? Or kaya, what is the soil-plant relationship because of the change in chemistry of the soil, how the plants grow in it. So, we know that for ultramafic ecosystems, usually stunted yung mga forest natin. But if you go to Mount Giting-Giting, there is a ultramafic landscape there, but the trees are not stunted. So something is different kahit dun sa areas natin that stunted yung forest versus dun sa hindi stunted, pero pareho silang ultramafic. So ibig sabihin, the chemistry of the soil has something to do with it. Okay? There's also studies of soil microbes, because the microbes living in the soil could probably be feeding on the weathered rocks from yung ophiolites natin. There are a few vegetation studies and of structure and composition of forests, but mostly focusing on vascular plants. Okay? And mycorrhizal association. There are also a lot of studies of insect association in ultramafic forests, so litter decomposition. And magandang highlight is the discovery of new species that are said to be nickel accumulators, yung mga metallophytes natin. Okay? And because this is a unique landscape, we are expecting higher endemicity in ultramafic ecosystem. Hence, yung search for metallophytes dun sa ating ultramafic areas. Okay? We also look at ultramafic landscapes. Hit siya ngayon because a lot of ultramafic landscapes are being mined for the materials in it, and in mining ecosystems, marami tayong we'd like to extract some of the materials, sometimes may spills, or sometimes talaga yung soil is not conducive for growth, and we'd like to find a way kung paano natin ma-remediate, matatanggal natin itong materials ito. Remediate to make it better for growing other materials, or to mine it because target natin yung material that are found in it that is quite small na makuha via yung mechanical means natin, yung actual mining. So, we attribute it to plants to extract it via absorption sa sila and assimilation dun sa body nila. Okay? So, this is a picture of some metallophytes. You notice that pag sinugatan yung kanilang parang pinaka-bark, meron siyang itong rims na to, tapos pag nirub mo siya, not sure about the material pero parang filter paper, nagre-react siya dun sa materials because of the amount of chromium as well as nickel in it. So meron siyang parang indicator kung doon sa sap ng trees natin. Okay, so where are the geological studies centered in the Philippines? So when we go back to the map earlier, we have pinpointed some of the areas na medyo malaki yung ating ultramafic areas. Plus, these areas would still have some existing forests on them. Some of the areas that were pinpointed in the map are already part of urban ecosystems. So we cannot find yung mga unique organisms in it. But we would like to zero in on what is found in the forest. So one of this would be yung topmost portion or middle portion of Sibuyan Island in Mount Giting-Giting. So this is Mayos Peak dito sa taas na. Wish ko lang na in the course of my field work, I will be able to reach that area. Medyo mataas sila at more than 2 days ang kailangan, more than 3 days ang kailangan para umakyat. So, parang first field day hanggang days 1 ka lamang nila. But as you go up, according to them that have already been there, that have been to Sibuyan Island, maganda yung tanawin eh. Pero yun nga, I would like to see dun sa base camp, based on the pictures that they have shown me, konti pa lang yung bryophytes, but they would actually be increasing as you go further up. Okay? And I would like to look at the association with the trees na mataas kaysa doon sa mababa. Okay? Some of the studies that have been conducted there would be a vegetation study done by Dr. Argent with Dr. Madulit and Dr. Proctor, which was published in the Edinburgh Journal of Botany, looked into the forest of the Ultramafic area of Mount Giting-Giting Sibuyan Islands, which would only center on vascular plants. Okay. There is also a paper on the birds of Sibuyan of Romblon Island, but this is they look into irrigational distribution. So hindi masyado more of the rocks. Hindi masyado natin. I don't think if sa mga wildlife natin, how important is the rock type to the distribution of birds, unless the birds are restricted by the number of trees present there that are restricted by the type of rock that is present. But again, a nice study on the birds of Sibuyan Island. Other than this, very little lang yung study. When we're trying to get a permit of the Mount Giting-Giting area, ang una kaagad sinabi dun sa team namin, ma'am, tapos na po yung forest vegetation study. Okay? And so parang itsapwera ako dun sa study kasi tapos na. They were doing insects, they were doing wildlife, pero yung vegetation, hindi na daw namin pakialam kasi tapos na daw nila. Okay? Upon looking at the results, nakita nga na puro siya vascular plants. So pwede pa kayo yung pumasok kasi we can look at understory at saka yung mga epiphytes and bryophytes in that area. Okay? So it is actually the Museum of Natural History. It has an ongoing project with the DNR of Sibuyan Island, of Romblon area, para lang mabalik-balikan namin dun sa Mount Giting. Right? Other than that, marami pang areas that we can look into. Jebo is doing bites of that area. Right? You can come in later on as students, but pina-prioritize namin for that study is actually to empower yung mga taga-Romblon State University. So sila yung kasama namin mga students. So that sila yung stakeholders of the land so that they get to know kung anong meron sila dun sa Mount Giting-Giting. Another area is in Palawan. This is in central Palawan. I'm sorry. Okay. Central Palawan. There is a massive in this area. A massive is a group of mountains in that area. And one of them would be Mount Bloomfield, which is a subject of study of, again, Proctor. Okay? He went several times to that area. Again, vegetation studies ang ginagawa of vascular plants. Okay? They look at herbivory. They look at a hyperaccumulating plant was found in this area also as early as 1992. Okay? Dr. Quimado and of the Metallophytes Laboratory also was able to describe a nickel hyperaccumulating species there of Philanthus. Okay. Other areas first sub-target would be the Zambales Ophiolitic Complex. This is a river which would have exposed rocks here that are high in iron. This is a nice area for me to study because since there is water, this one is a good site for the establishment of your bryophytes that are rheophytic. And also, Dinagat Island. This is a mining site. Notice the red soil in it. Okay? But even with it, this is a area which would have an exposed ultramafic area here. The trees here, unlike that of giting-giting, are stunted. Ay, hindi sila ganun katatas, hindi sila mas, kasi tangkad lang natin sila, which is because of the limiting factor of your soil. Okay? So, several mining companies are in that area mining nickel, but despite the enriched area there, the group of Dr. Imaga and Dr. Fernando were able to find new species of Ricorea species, which Ricorea species, which is a nickel accumulator. Okay. What about bryophyte studies in the Philippines? Okay. The most used book for bryology is still the book of Bartram, which was first published in 1939. It is still the book that we use in everything. We use the dichotomous key here. Then we outsource the different keys up to the species level. We get the bryophyte listing from Hong Kong, from China, from Taiwan. Wala pa tayong updated list of the species listed by Bartram. Okay? Back in the early 1990s, Dr. Tan, the late Dr. Tan, updated it with an annotated checklist of Philippine bryophytes. He noted that at this, around 1991, only 1,200 species of bryophytes are present in the Philippines. 700 of it are mosses. The rest, the 500 species, are a combination of your liverworts and your contorts. Then, this is the most recent add to the bryophyte listing. This is one of the last papers written by Dr. Tan. Lumabas siya, posthumous na. This one is the Moss Flora of Mindanao because one of the last studies of Dr. Tan was actually the exploration of Mount Kitanlan in Mindanao. Right? So, very far in between and very few yung mga studies of bryophytes. Okay? So there is a niche there that forestry students like you can enter para madagdagan, para ma-update. Because I don't believe that we only have 1,200 species here in the Philippines. There are a lot of ecosystems that still need to be, wala man masyadong maraming new species. Meron pa rin ilan-ilan, but siguradong maraming new records that are just waiting for you to discover them. Okay? A paper by Berlinis of the National Museum. Ito ang medyo part ng Ultramafic kasi minap niya based on geologic history of the Philippines. Pero yung kanya is more of where are the bryophytes found. Hindi kung bakit sila nandun sa area yon. So, a review of the intra-Philippine distribution patterns of Philippine mosses based on recent evidences. This study, hindi siya pumunta sa field. All he did was dig up all the records found in the National Museum. He was able to look into 742 species of the Philippines, which is quite right kasi the National Museum would be the repository of all the species na meron. So more or less na-cover niyang lahat yun. Again, very small amount naman. Right? But still, he was able to make a good paper showing the distribution patterns of this and to pinpoint saan kaya yung origin sa nanggaling itong species na to sa Southeast Asia. Next, Dr. Tan, way back in 1996, he did a biogeography of Palawan mosses. But here, again, he did not consider type of rock. He just went across from the north portion of Palawan hanggang sa baba, kung saan pwede siyang mag-aral. Tapos kolekta lang siyang kolekta. And if you have met Dr. Tan, pag nasa field siya, parang naglalaro lang siya sa field kasi may packet siya, lalagay lang din yun. So back then, when he was studying, no consideration talaga, oh, is this type of rock volcanic, ultramafic, ganyan. Mas kanya, dito ko siya nahanap sa place na to. So it would be nice to go back to this study to parang i-evaluate mo, itong nandiyan yung data eh. All you have to do is to go back para ma-assess mo what type of tectonic or geological information you can extract from it. Okay, and this one is another one in an ultramafic area. This one is the biodiversity mosses of Zambales mountain range. Similar to what Dr. Tan did, he studied the whole of the Zambales area. So hindi siya naka-pinpoint dun sa mga ultramafic sites natin. Unfortunately, this material is not published. I was trying to look for the actual material. It is uploaded in FAO website, but wala siyang material. Only an abstract is there. So I'm thinking this was not presented into an actual journal article. So parang report lang sila. Which is sayang, kasi 2004, more than 10 years ago, unreported data ito. So the gaps that I have identified in looking at the literature for bryophytes are the following. First, there are very few biodiversity studies on ultramafic landscapes. Kahit anong taksa, konti lamang sila. Okay? Some of the ultramafic studies in ultramafic landscapes, they fail to relate yung biota with that of the geology, which could give you a good idea on distribution patterns kung alam mo. Okay? Then, ultramafic landscapes are usually in danger of being destroyed because they are being extracted. Minerals are being extracted from it faster than we are able to document what is actually on it. Well, tulungan niyo ko, lahat ng mga foresters, para mga natin document. At malay mo, mas malaki pa pala yung value ng species na to kaysa dun sa minimina nila dun sa site niya. Just saying. And, zeroing on bryophytes alone, not many studies of bryophytes in the Philippines. Why? Because even right now, ma'am, ang liit naman yan. Ang hirap-hirap. Sabi niyo, 1939 pa yung book. So it is very hard to identify bryophytes. Kailangan ng tiyaga sa paggawa nito. Very few are interested in it, mainly because they don't have the flowers that you are enticed na makita. Okay? There are no or very few studies on the chemistry of substrate. And the possibility of phytomining via bryophyte, it can be a possibility. Hindi siya masyadong malaki yung biomass niya, but they can actually extract it, diba? Because they actually fuse or absorb it through their bodies. And lastly, there is no studies on biogeological distribution of bryophytes with respect to that of the ophiolitic zonation. So this, I am trying to look into. Meron ba magandang pattern or magandang distribution based on how the Philippine ophiolite zones are located. So yun ang gusto kong makita, and hopefully I will be able to do that. So I read a lot of articles for this para lang maging concise so that I can present it to you. That is all. Thank you.